Hello and welcome to Croissants, your daily podcast show here from the Paris 2024 Olympics. I am your host, Vanessa Lee, and I'm joined with two very special guests that you've seen before. Welcome, Mr. Mike Schlusser, Mr. Perfect, and Gabby's husband.
Gabby's husband.
Also welcome Simon, Sydney 2000 gold medalist, your 5-time Olympian, and so happy to talk with you again.
Great to be here.
Today, Medal Day.
Medal Day.
It's been a couple days because we've had individual eliminations, and that lasts so long at the Olympics because you see every single match. But I'm excited that there's going to be some medal action today.
Yeah, it's going to be cool seeing. I think mixed team is one of my favorite things to do. So I think it's going to be awesome matches, and it's going to be a very good watch.
So Simon, you've been at the Olympics from 1988 all the way through Athens 2004, and we didn't have mixed teams then. So it's kind of new to you. What have you thought about it so far?
That's a good question. I've never shot a mixed team event, so it's interesting to see the dynamic. It's a bit like I guess from a spectating point of view, anyway, having not done it. It's a bit like mixed tennis. Like it seems like the women step up, like shoot really, really good.
Yeah.
And sometimes the best of the two. People might assume that the men would carry the score, but it's not the case. So that's really interesting to see. And I think I think the archers really like it. Mike said he does, and you can sort of see that. I think people genuinely enjoy the different dynamic of the competitors. That is, it's not just a team of three of the same sex, but it's I think generally it's more enjoyable for the archers from what I can see. Perhaps not, maybe a little less pressure, but more enthusiasm.
Well, is it, Mike? You've shot mixed team ever since we've kind of started it.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a different thing. I think it's more in common because like most sports have like teams of two, so it's like a bit more common with other sports. But it's a different vibe because like if you have like a man team, for example, like you can be a bit more rough on it. While if you are shooting with a woman, you need to be a bit more kind to her because it is what it is. But like you need to be like a different person depending on what team you're going to be shooting at. But like you need to be like the best version of yourself.
Also, I guess you have that thing where, as we talked about in previous sessions, in some situations you're competing against those teammates.
True.
And so sometimes they're opponents, other times they're team members. Whereas in the mixed, you're never competing against your teammate. So it's only ever a teammate and you're working with them rather than fighting for positions on teams and things like that. It's always just you're joining to do something rather than vying for something.
Yeah. What's the experience like shooting with all different women, though? Because it's often based on the ranking round, and you need to now not only get used to one person, but depending on who you're shooting with, it might change.
Yeah, that's always a challenge because a lot of teams, like the mixed team part, is kind of like an off topic because it's normally the best man, best woman. Sometimes it isn't because it's pre-qualified. We saw the Mexican team deciding to be Alejandra and Matias before even before the qualification started. Yeah. So a lot of teams put a lot of eggs in their baskets with a mixed team because I think that it's one of the most competitive scenes there is because shooting the best man and best woman, it's always going to be a tough match no matter what. Even 1 against 16 is going to be a tough match.
Good point about Mexico, because that surprised me. Even before we all arrived in Paris, we knew who was going to be shooting mixed team for Mexico, and without a doubt, they're a big contender. But the complete opposite happened last night. Originally, it was going to be Amélie Courdeau from France, shooting with Baptiste Adis, and now they switched it absolutely last minute to Lisa Barbelin.
From a spectator point of view, like also a little bit in the sport, I can understand it because seeing Lisa shoot the individual matches, she really came alive with the crowd. In the team event, the first day what we had, you saw that she was the only one that kind of kept it together in the French team. Yeah. So as a coach, I would have maybe done the same thing because you see that Lisa is really handling the crowd very well, while the other two are crumbling a little bit under the pressure maybe. So if I was a coach, I would have done the same thing because I think that's going to be the biggest chance of winning a medal is changing those two out.
And so you could feel the energy from Lisa. You could feel the energy from Baptiste. So do you think that'll even elevate that even more as they're kind of feeding each other and the crowd is feeding them, Simon?
Surely. Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd have to think so. And having both of them together, it could be quite spectacular in terms of crowd interaction.
Yeah. But you did say that you were hoping that it wasn't going to be too much during Lisa's individual matches.
Yeah, I wonder whether she was enjoying the experience a little too much and forgetting to think about her shooting. But as we saw, it didn't work out like that. But I was a little worried about. And you remember there was that moment with the Koreans where the coach was telling them, like, focus, you know, like, don't get too excited. So it's a possibility that you can move away from what you're there for and just be interacting with the crowd and enjoying that at your detriment. So
I think it's like
a balancing act, I think.
Yeah, I think so as well. But like at the end, like if you're enjoying your shooting, like eventually you go back to muscle memory. So like she's gonna be like back to like all those 1,000 practice hours that you did in the weeks coming up to this. And I think like if you're enjoying yourself with the crowd, eventually like you're not gonna even think about archery anymore. But like your muscle memory is gonna take over. So it's gonna be good, I think.
Well, let's hope so.
Yeah, that's my point of view about it.
You know, good point about, excitement and all that, because I used to take a sports psychology course when I was in university. And so imagine this graph where on one axis there is performance, and as it goes higher, your performance increases. On the bottom axis is mental arousal, how excited you are. So in the end, it's an inverted U graph, because if you're understimulated, you're not excited at all, you're kind of bored, yawning, your performance is down here. But if you're excited, you're a little bit nervous, you're getting, a little bit of anxiety even, or using that crowd, your performance is up here. Too much, like you mentioned, Simon, is down here because you're not focused.
Yeah, looking for the peak arousal level.
Yeah, exactly. So I wonder if the French team can kind of keep it up here, that use that crowd to stay elevated and not go a little bit too far. Yeah.
I guess where it might actually peak over, it would be if she's really interacting with the crowd, and it's that as we've said, really full on with that, and then you get a crunch arrow where like this arrow is like it has to be a 10 or and she overcooks it, like just holds too long or just overcooking it. Whereas if it's a bit more straightforward, it could just roll through nicely and be perfect. So
yeah. Let's talk about the energy with mixed team too, because in team rounds, there's different, I guess, ways that you can kind of shoot it. Some teams have that first archer going first, the second, third, then they reverse the order. So for that first archer, it's been a while since you've shot. But in mixed team, it's always kind of back to back.
There's not many arrows, is there?
Exactly. It's only 2 arrows really at a time. Same thing as team, but your teammate is only shooting 2 others instead of having 2 other people.
It goes over so quick. Sometimes mixing matches are only 16 arrows, like for me, but like or 4 sets of 4 arrows. So it goes over super quick, but it's super nice because like when you're in the flow, like it's nice because you're in the flow. But like sometimes when you're like a little bit nervous going into the match, like it's over before you know it. So that's kind of a bummer as well.
Or if their sights are not quite zeroed in, and you're trying to catch up, like okay, it's off to the side. I need to make an adjustment, and it's finished before you've found the center. So you need to be ready right from the go.
Yeah. On one hand, you can enjoy it and it's just there and it's gone. On the other hand, it's almost like you don't have enough time to really adjust.
Better be paying attention right from the beginning. Yeah.
And I think that's where the experience comes in, because like a lot of these people that come to the stages that have experience, they know what to do. Like when they're nervous, okay, I need to give it 10 clicks this, 10 clicks that. I'm sighted in. While, for example, like people that never been to like a stage like this, they just come up, show up and be like off and be like, oh, I'm not making a good shot. But like because they're nervous, they're gonna make a different shot. But like that's gonna be it. So they don't know how to adjust to it. You really saw that the other day in the individual matches, like that the people that didn't really have experience, they always started off somewhere, and it took them a little bit to get adjusted to it. While the people that have experience in these arena types of shooting, they were centered in.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point. Yeah. And if anyone knows,
like I know for myself when I'm nervous, I'm tend to hit left. So when I'm like, first thing what I do is when I go into the final match, like I give it a couple clicks because I know I'm tend to hit left.
Wait, I know everybody watching this, including us, is curious, but why?
It's just the nerves. Like you tend to the thing is like when you get nervous, you shrink because like your confidence goes down a little bit. Okay. So like as well, like you see it as well, like people that tend to be nervous take forever to shoot their arrows. because they're like shrinking, so they cannot pull it through the clicker kind of, or with a weaker pull it through the hinge or whatever.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Well, it's going to be an exciting day today. There's some major contenders. Can you name a couple that are just at the top of your mind as we're going to be starting the day soon?
The France, I see them definitely going far. Archery, of course.
Yeah.
Who else?
Well, it's Italy against France first.
That'll be a good match.
That'll be
again. So weren't they against each other in the men's team? I think. Italy. Don't quote me on that.
Sounds right. Who was?
So I think Brazil is going to be a big
China.
one with world ranked number 1 Marcus.
Korea, Taipei.
Yeah, Korea, Taipei. All Asian match up there.
Mexico, Brazil.
Yeah.
They're all going to be interesting matches.
What's interesting is that we've kind of grouped all of these nations in geography. You have this Asian match, and then
European
you have
match,
like
European match,
an American match. Yeah.
Yeah. Also interesting that the mixed team allows for different countries that to have a strong team, because you only need 2 people, not 3 people. It's not many countries that have got 3 strong shooters, like contenders, in the one division.
Yeah.
So there's a lot more countries that have 1 good man and 1 good woman.
Yeah.
So you see some other countries that now might be better than they would be if it was just same-sex teams.
I think that's what makes it so intense, because I was looking at these brackets and it's just so evenly matched. It's really
and so few arrows too.
Yeah,
Nothing
happens.
It's really compressed everything.
Yeah.
It's a bit like just having a collection of 1 arrow shoot off arrows as well. Like you don't get any rhythm. It's just like shoot 1 arrow, get off the line,
Exactly.
and it's almost the end of the end line. Yeah, very different.
Well, do you think this really opens it up for other nations to get on top of the podium?
I think mixed team is one of the highest contended, but also the thing that can happen the most because it's so little arrows only.
Yeah.
So everything can happen.
I think it's a combination of what the last 2 points you made. One is that it really benefits people who are really experienced, like you say, because there's so few arrows. You got to know what preemptively make adjustments and be in the zone. But then with so few arrows and only 2 archers,
Exactly.
it also is very varied there. So hard to predict.
Wild cards. Because if you have, say, you have a lot of data, right, then you get more accurate, who is better than the other. But if you have such few arrows and everything, it's almost like, let's see who's better in any given moment, even though they might not be the best team long term. In that moment, they could be someone
For sure.
who's stronger.
And especially in a set system, because if you pull out 4 strong arrows as a team, you get 2 set points, and then you can kind of flop the next hand, and it's 2-2, while you're in cumulative score maybe be 5 or 6 points behind the other team. Yeah. But at the end, the score is 2-2.
You're back in it the next
exactly.
the third set,
Yeah,
absolutely.
So there's a big team that we already talked about, and what a difference in teammates, because Alejandra Valencia has a world of experience. She's been on an Olympic podium before, right? Matias Grande, first Olympics, but such a young gun, and he's really leaving his mark. How do you think they're going to do?
I think good, because you need a little bit of experience, what I just talked about. I think that Alejandra can definitely bring that to Matias. I think also the coach Miguel can help them in this.
Yeah.
And I generally think that they work good together as well. I think there's a reason why the country pre-selected them, because they got to be good together. So it's but also pre-selecting a team beforehand puts a lot of pressure on you.
Yeah, they're really good friends. Also, they just have such a good dynamic when they're shooting together. I think that's kind of a part of it. If you can really enjoy who you're shooting with, that's just going to elevate you.
That's
right?
part of the dynamic of good team shooting, isn't it? Whether it's same sex or mixed team, if you enjoy being with the people, then that's half the battle, I think.
Yeah,
whereas if you don't like them, bad luck. It's not going to go well.
You still need to work together, but I think it's a lot about giving confidence to each other, and if when you have fun together, the confidence comes by itself.
Yeah. Well, they must know each other so well that Matias might know exactly what Alejandra needs to hear. He probably has seen her shoot so many thousands of arrows that he can analyze and see what's going on, and vice versa.
Well, and they've surely done a lot of practice as a team, going through the format and practicing the round, and which is why they would have picked like made a selection before coming here, they'd have tested every team member and okay, how do you go with you, and what on average is who shoots the best scores, what team works the best together.
Yeah, I think that's a huge advantage. I can only respect Mexico for selecting before, as unconventional as it is, but it kind of just goes to show that they are really focused on the results and creating a good team dynamic rather than, switching it up all of a sudden.
It's always a tough thing for the selectors to make that choice. Do we go with objective or subjective methods of selecting? We can just say, you know what, you shoot the ranking round, whoever tops, that's the score. I mean, that's the selection, and it's not my fault that's the combination. Or you can then start trying to influence it beforehand and make your best guess. But then you have to live and die by that choice. Like it's someone's responsible now for making those choices. So it's a difficult thing from a selector's point of view.
I think it's also
like go.
Really important how you do it. Like I know it out of my own experience from my own team. Like sometimes the communication is not there from the coaches towards the athletes that good.
As in why they made a selection.
Why they make the decision. Why. Like after, like for example, like sometimes they go after qualification and they be like, well, this and this is going to be shooting the mixed team, and not really a reason behind or anything, or
I see.
Good communication in it.
Yeah,
I know that's very difficult sometimes to the athletes as well, because they get frustrated with each other, and then they're starting to blame their teammates. Well, it's not their decision at all. So like you need to have like good communication openly and give good reasons behind it.
Or lack of trust in the team too. Like between the athletes and coaches, I'm not going to tell you of a problem I have because you'll think I'm weak and you won't put me in the team and all that kind of stuff. So it fragments things.
Well, we're in such an objective sport, right? At the end of the day, it's about how many tens you shoot. But it really goes to show that we can be affected by the subjective side of our sport. It's not just black and white. And
it's complicated enough without having all of that stuff as well.
Exactly.
So like one of our selection criteria for like when a team was going to be selected for the games for the Netherlands was team chemistry. But like, how are you going to measure team chemistry? Like how there's only feeling kind of like, so like how can you explain team chemistry towards the athletes, towards the fourth or fifth person?
And is there a difference between team chemistry that provides a good result and friendship?
Yes.
I want to be with Mike in the team because we're friends, not because I know that we shoot better together than with someone else. We're friends, so I want to be. So how do you pick that?
It's very difficult, and I know there's been a lot of conversation about it between the athletes in the Netherlands about it, because like they feel like, but like, what if I do this or that, and they gonna hate me, like what's gonna happen? So there's a lot of friction been between people, just between teammates because of that.
Having said that, it's not specific to archery. Like there's fights about team selections in every sport. You look at the news leading into an Olympics, and there's always a sport that's having selections go to a court of tribunal, well, like a tribunal to say, who should be in it and whether it's fair that they were excluded, and right up to the 11th hour. Like it happens every Olympics, so it's not just us that has that issue.
For sure not. And I think it's just very difficult, like how are you going to measure that kind of stuff. Like it's all on feeling from the coaches and how they're going to explain it.
Yeah, unfortunately it is so common because it's the Olympic Games.
Everyone wants to be there, don't they? So it's not like, I'll concede.
I'll take
you go.
I'll take
the next one. No, it's not like that. Especially as athletes, because you peak at a certain time. We are lucky in archery that I think the lifespan of an archer as an athlete is a little bit longer. But I mean, to shoot at your best.
But life goes on too. Like not everybody can say, I'll spend another 4 years going for the Olympics. Having done 2 already, another 4 years. Now it's 12 years of my life that I'm not doing a career or whatever. It's like, you have to think, is it this time or never? And
Well said. Is it this time or never? Today's the day for so many archers. For many, it's the last opportunity for them at an Olympic medal. We'll have to wait and see what happens.
It's going to be exciting, that's for sure.
Yeah.
We know that.
At least we know. It's going to be exciting.
All right. I think on that note, we'll wrap it up for today. So thank you, everybody, so much for tuning in. This was Croissants with Mr. Mike Schlusser and Simon Fairweather. I'm, again, Vanessa Lee. And we'll be back tomorrow for another episode. Thanks so much.